I'm here with Juan Sepulveda, who's working currently with the federal government on improving education for Hispanics and education in general. Can you tell me, Juan, how important is events like what went on today?
They're really important. The president has talked about both in his State of the Union and kind of moving forward that the way we are going to win the future as a country is to out-educate, to out-innovate, and to out-build the rest of the world. And the only way we're going to do that is community by community, making sure that all of us step up to play our shared role of responsibility and kind of being a part of the answer. And so events like this that are bringing together, across, we think about quality of life in the Inland Empire, and we think about both the folks in the business community and the philanthropy, the nonprofit sector, the public sector, side by side with the folks from the education system, but all the key folks, both inside all of those parts of the system, needing to be here to talk to each other. What are you doing? Here's what I'm doing. How do we kind of connect? We know that that shared responsibility, and the president has said this again and again, is the only way we're going to win the future.
What were you hoping to see accomplished, or what do you think got accomplished today?
What we were hoping to see, and I think it did get accomplished for us, was to kind of get a sense of a little bit of the temperature. Where is the Inland Empire? Where do they see itself today? What do they see as some of the potential moving forward? I've had some great one-on-one conversations in addition to the panels and the sessions that have been taking place for us to get a better understanding of where the community sees itself. It's easy for us from D.C. to see particular things or to read a report or look at data, but to be on the ground, to kind of see people who are on the front line saying, this is what I'm experiencing, these are the kind of obstacles that we've identified, and here's some of the strategies we're looking to kind of take those on, and doing it across kind of a region, I think is an important thing that we're hoping other communities can kind of look to do the same kind of thing.
What are some of the biggest challenges you think we are facing, especially when it comes to education here in the Inland Empire?
I think the Inland Empire is not unlike a lot of other places that you can see challenges across each part of the system. At the early childhood stage, you really look at both increasing the number of early childhood programs, but more importantly, making sure that they're quality, right? So it's not just quantity. It's the president likes to say, you may have a new early childhood program in your neighborhood, but if they're taking a bunch of kids and throwing a video on in front of a TV, that's glorified babysitting. That's not early childhood. Right. So quality, I think, is going to be an important piece for the Inland Empire. At the K through 12 level, you see the classic challenge of we just got to get more kids through the high school system, graduating from high school, but not just graduating, making sure that they're actually ready to go to college. So you're hearing here in the Inland Empire, even the students who are getting through, we're hearing numbers of, 90% plus, that when they are getting to college, they're not ready. They've got the diploma, but they're not ready to do college level math. They're not ready to do college level English. So figuring out what's missing between the K through 12 system that needs to get everyone through, but even for the ones who are getting through, almost none of them are actually ready to go to college. That's a hard thing to say, but a lot of communities are facing. The Inland Empire is not the only one to be going through that across the country. Then obviously, as you connect to the higher ed piece, we've seen, and I think even in the Inland Empire, college access is getting better, so people are being exposed to the opportunity to go to college. You don't give up on that. You still got to work that piece. But I think in particular here in the Inland Empire, we see like so many other communities, I need to get you in, but are you going to finish? So college completion seems to be really important, not just the notion of getting them in, which is important, but do they have the services and the help and everything they need to get the guidance they need to get through the system? And for so many of the kids in this region who are going to be the first ones in their families to go, their families want them to succeed and to have a better job and have a better life. So this notion that somehow the families don't want them is wrong, and you see that in the Inland Empire. But the question is, I don't know how it works, so somebody help me understand the system. So you're seeing that as kind of a key obstacle at the higher ed stage. And then I think the final piece is at the adult ed, not just adult workers, but kind of for those students who aren't going to go to college, and we want to get everyone ready to go to college and be ready for jobs. But if they choose not to go that path, what are the key sectors or clusters of the economy? And I've been hearing people talk about healthcare, transportation and logistics, advanced manufacturing as being three key areas that the regions come together to saying we have some natural comparative advantages that we can build upon that will also kind of accompany the idea of getting kids to college. So for those who don't go on that path, they still are getting the same education, but you're getting them prepared for some great jobs to take care of their families. those are the kind of things we're hearing kind of across the system.
Yeah, we were talking with Dave Schenkel of the National Electrical Contractors Association, and he was saying the same thing, that they have the work, especially with the push towards a greener America.
Sure, the green jobs.
But the issue they were facing was some of these kids didn't have the basic math skills required to be electricians. Are you focusing on, like you said, trying to get a career path for those who aren't going to college?
So we are. So there's a couple things. The first thing I would say is everyone gets nervous when you talk about it, because it's easy to say not every kid is going to go to college, but when you bring it home to your family, but my kids are, right? There's no way they're not going to be the ones. So we want to make sure that we don't go back to the past of having these challenges of tracking. And particularly for our office being focused on the Latino community, the last thing we want to have is, all the kids aren't going to go to college, and it's those Latino kids who aren't going. That can't be an option. What I see a lot of communities doing, and I see the Inland Empire thinking about this, is what if you set the default curriculum for a system? And here with California, you've got the A to G standards. San Jose has done this. Long Beach has done it successfully. Los Angeles, unfortunately, has had a struggle to do this. San Diego, I think, is the latest community to think about this as an answer. But I've heard a number of people talk about with the Inland Empire, what if the Inland Empire said our default system for the K through 12 system is that every kid is going to take A through G requirement level work. And so if therefore when I'm ready to go on a path and I make my own decision and decide that the path for me is to go to an apprenticeship to get connected to the skills, to the trade unions, that I'm going to have the English, I'm going to have, more importantly, the math is what they really talked about. They're going to have the math skills they need. But that's a choice that says I'm college and career ready, and I'm now at an age where I can make that decision, but not where the school or anyone else has said, you don't get to go that path, and because we think you're not going to go to college, the education you get is actually going to be lower than your classmates. That's the worst thing we could do. And we know that even with these jobs, whether they're in advanced manufacturing, whatever it is, outside of the college system, those jobs are going to need more than a high school degree. So we've got to stop thinking that even the end goal is just to get them through high school. We can't forget about the dropout rate, but we got to know that the target is they're going to need more beyond high school, and that's going to be different for each kid.
With the economic crisis that the country's in, and especially California, are you still optimistic that we can achieve some of these goals?
We have to be. I think we have to be, and I think I feel very privileged to be working for President Obama, where he has kind of said, even in these tough times, I'm going to set the tone, and I'm going to say the way that we win the future is to out-educate, to out-build, and to out-innovate the rest of the world. And I'm not just going to say that. I'm going to increase the budget for education in these tough financial times, because that's an investment we have to make. Got to cut back in other places. We have to take care of the debt that we have at the federal level, just like any family has got to deal with tough times. Hey, I can't eat out as often as I'd like to. Maybe I can't go to the movies all the time with my wife and my kids. Families do that all the time. We've got to do that as a government as well, but you have to set priorities. So I've got 2 kids in college, so my wife and I may not go out to eat as often. We may not go to the movies as often. I'm going to make sure I pay for the tuition for my kids to make sure they get through college. That's the same thing that the president is saying for us as a country. We got to cut here, but we've got to invest in the key areas, and I think that's where I have hope, because he's setting the tone for saying, even in tough times, this is the worst time to be cutting back at the higher ed level, adult workers at the K through 12. You have to kind of stick in there and make sure that you invest down, and that's what the president has proposed.
Well, Mr. Swan, thank you, Mrs. Sepulveda. Thank you for your
You're
time.
welcome.
I appreciate it, and I wish you luck with your project.
No, thank you very much. Thanks for all you're doing.